Well, hey, how you doing? All right? We can't only just talk about cigars, although we could also talk about cigars alone. And we could joke around about funny things, but also along the way, Richie likes to warn about the Saddam of our society, complete collapse. There's a difference between once in a while being wrong and apologizing and but generally staying within the bounds of a decent moral life and what we have right now. And this has already happened, nothing new under the sun. But as a society, we've completely collapsed. We're living in the remnants of what it used to be. I was born in '83, and the world we were living in is to now. And I'm not just saying, well, technology got better, so I'm just sound like an old fud. No. I mean, legitimately, the amount of the degeneracy that's in our society, not only tolerated but accepted and promoted, it's of absurd levels. Absurd. And I'm not even going to go into it because I'm not going to try to just exposing the way our world is right now is vulgar. And I talk about it all the time in my cigar channel, and I make it funny. But the truth is, it's not funny that the world is this way, that we've collapsed. When I was growing up, it was just get a job, go meet a girl, and have a family. 1, 2, 3. It's what happens. And then the amount of level of divorce and the poverty that happens after that, the collapse, and the amount of men that end up homeless after losing everything, and family court and child support, and loss of rights and privileges, which I guess it's a privilege to be alive. Anyways, I had this massive vision last night, and I woke up. And when I woke up, it was like I knew it happened. And there's two different stories in the Bible. One from the Old Testament, from 1 Kings, and the other one from Matthew. But I immediately knew the correlation. It was the same message in both stories. Just reversed in a sense as far as the characters. But the meaning and the allegories behind it. Well, anyway, so maybe you don't even care. Oh, good for you. That's fine. And anyways, I guess I'm just going to talk about it. And it relates to the allegories of the world we're living in right now. In 1 Kings 3:16, it's about two mothers. It's about two women. Both were mothers. But one mother fell asleep on her child. She killed her child. Now, probably by accident. It didn't say if she was drunk or, whatever. But the point is, she smothered her own child. And when she woke up, instead of accepting this level of pain and accepting the embarrassment that would come from that of suffocating her own child, she wanted to hide her sin. So she knew there was a woman and had a baby as well, and went to her in the middle of the night and swapped out the babies. Now, this is not 2025, where people have cameras, ring cameras, and IDs, and fingerprint technology, and DNA testing. So anyways, though, now you get the basis of that story. And then the other story is about what is the kingdom of heaven. I'm just giving you a little synopsis before I read to you what I wrote down. And when I woke up this morning, there was 6 pages of things, of just like I review cigars, of reviewing both these stories and comparing, contrasting, and how they're connected, about the two mothers and the two fathers, a mother of good and a mother of bad, and a father of good and a father of bad. And both are choices. Both are choices. To be bad is a choice, because you know it's wrong. You know you're being bad, and you're choosing to be evil. So let's start off with 1 Kings chapter 3:16. That's where there was a woman with child, and she killed her child. And so she traded that child. She deceived at night. And so then therefore both were going to be false parents, but one was not guilty of that. She woke up and she had a dead child, and she said, "This is not my baby." And the other woman had a live baby, and she goes, "No, this is my baby." And so they were arguing. She's like, "This is your son, and you have my son." And she's like, "I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about." She's very condescending. And so the bottom line is, you have a false mother declared the baby was hers. In the allegory, of taking what is not yours, and also having the audacity to go up to the king and swear before the king that this child was mine, and that the other person's lying. Not only did she kill her own child, okay. Not only did she kill her own child, not want to admit to it, okay. Not only did she kill her own child, not want to admit to it, then she took someone else's child, okay. Not only, she didn't took the other child and said, listen, I killed my child, let me just take yours, you have mine, you can have another one. All that would have been bad enough. But to act like it didn't happen, the indifference to take another woman's child and say, this is my child, to take something that's not yours and give someone else a dead child saying, that's your child, and then to go to the king and say, this is my baby. The good mother was, well, up a river, and, you know, it could have behooved her to say, oh, you know, she could have just killed that woman and just had a righteous anger because she stole her child and gave her a dead child. But anyways, though. So the allegory is taking what is not yours and also having the audacity to lie to the king, lie to, in a sense, the power of the land, lie to God. And the bad try to steal from the good. And then you have the king in Judges, which is Solomon. And the lying mother killed her own child. We already talked about that. And then she changed the children. And while the mother slept, the child was taken in place. It was deception. But deception while the mother was unconscious, while she wasn't aware. And that's true deception. Not even being aware, you're being deceived. Satan is the father of all lies. It's like a magician. He's doing a trick. The king's solution was this. He said, how can we know? You're a mother, you're a mother. He said, cut the baby in half, and you get a half, and you get a half. And so the king's decision might have sounded brutal, although he had a long-term arch on this play, hoping one of them would concede. And also he was pretty smart knowing who would concede. So the king said, cut the baby in half, and each mother gets a half a baby. And the real mother said, no, give the baby to the other mother. She was willing to lose her child in the time with her child rather than losing the child's time in this world. The mother was willing to sacrifice what was hers for that child not to sacrifice what was his. The mother assumed the debt. He said, well, you can cut the baby in half, you both get the baby. So instead of getting half her baby back, she said, no, I'd rather lose the whole baby, but that baby gains his whole life. Think about that. She sacrificed for that child. She said, I'd rather lose the child. Not only lose the child, she was willing to admit, sure, you got it, don't kill the child. She could have the baby. She was willing to admit, she was willing to accept bad for good. She was the good one, and she was willing. She was willing to be treated badly by doing a good thing. So the real mother rather loses child, and so the real child can keep its life. And this fulfills where it says, better to suffer for doing good than bad. Meaning, if you're out there doing evil things, and it's going to come back around to you. You deserve that. But if you're doing good and you're getting persecuted, you don't deserve that, and God will see that. So there's an injustice there, and He'll restore all the balances. So and Christ was the greatest one that ever lived as far as doing good. He lived a sinless life, and he was murdered. So it is with that. Now let's get to the two fathers. So anyways, though, the king, we'll get to that later on. The two fathers, Matthew 13:24. It says, they asked him, what is the kingdom of heaven? And Jesus told a parable, which is an allegory, which is a story, in a sense, like a movie. That way, within every movie, there's a message or an agenda or something to come across, or this for that. That way, if you did hear it, you really heard it because you had ears to hear. It's not like, also, that happens in real life. You don't just throw seed on the ground and then magically an apple tree happens. The ground has to accept it, rain has to happen, and somewhere in between there, spark of life, and then you protect the ground, and keep animals away from it, and give it time, and you have fruit. We said, what is the kingdom of heaven? And Christ said, a man, which would be a father, he had a field, and he sowed good seed. He planted good seed, and then he rested. It says the allegory to the real father creating life with the woman, right? That's how all life is created, a man and a woman. So he had his own field, he had a woman, and they created children, they created life. It said, while the man was sleeping, though, his earth, his field, was taken by a false owner, and that false owner planted other seed, which in this allegory is tares, which tares, it looks like wheat, but it's not wheat. Tares is an imposter, T-A-R-E, is an imposter wheat. It looks like it, but it's not. It's a deception. It's a lie. Because lots of lies that come in our world don't say they're bad, they say that they're good, but it's a lie. So anyways, though, so here you have a good man having his own field, and he plants his seed. And while he was resting, at nighttime, another man came and planted bad seed along the farm. Well, as the crop started growing, his workers came to him, and they said to him, Master, that there's good seed along with bad seed. There's weeds among the tare. What should we do? Should we get rid of the bad? We'll pull it out right now. But at least they want to get the master's permission. But the master, seeing bigger picture in the grand scape of time, so this is an allegory, realizing, let me think about that. This is what he said. He said, hold on a second, I'm lost here. I'm going to go back to what I wrote here. And that time went on and the crop came, essentially offspring. Some of the good farmer and some of the bad farmer. And the father planted in the light his own field. And the enemy plants in the darkness. Because while the good man was sleeping, the enemy plants and went on his own way. This is right out of the Bible. It says, while the man was sleeping, the enemy planted and went on his own way. So he did what he had to do and got out of there. Does that sound like anything going on in this world of man and woman just hooking up and then see you later? And you can sit there and blame the man. Well, where have all the good fathers gone? At the same time, the women only want these bad boys. So we have a whole bunch of children with no fathers and not good mothers. Because if you were a good mother, you wouldn't be sleeping with these bad boys. So the enemy plants in the darkness because he couldn't go against a good man in the daylight. Because what he's doing is wrong. But in the darkness, he went against him. So let me continue reading this. So the enemy does not care about its creations. Clearly, because it said he went about his own way after he planted the seed. He wasn't there to watch it grow. Also, he's afraid to face the good farmer in the light, which is attached, which is why he went and attacked the farm at night. Satan is the father of all lies. The workers saw the crop had good and bad. And so they told the owner, let us gather the bad. And the owner said, no, you will pull the good crop with the bad crop. Even though the good owner was betrayed, he didn't want to betray the good crop, his children. So once again, the father in this case, just like the good mother, yeah, I got betrayed. Wow, I have this field. I gave him this kingdom. And some along the way, someone came in and betrayed me, and they planted bad with the good. But he didn't want to destroy he didn't want to destroy the good. So we'll get them what they did. But just so they have the same allegory, same message. You have the mother being betrayed, okay, and she wasn't willing to have that baby cut in half. She was willing to lose it, only to have it returned. And then you have the father who was betrayed, but he wasn't willing to lose the whole field over the bad. The truthful mother, now we're going back to the first story. The truthful mother and the lying mother, the good and evil, the message is For a short time evil might make the good suffer. But the king, God, sees all. He will punish the evil in proper times. He allows evil and good to exist at the same time. He allows the children to make their own choices. Now no one knows when judgment comes. The time to repent is always now. Once judgment is declared, it is too late. Once you go in front of that judge, as a man that may or may not went in front of a judge, if you don't make a deal, if you don't have the right representation, if you don't keep your mouth shut from the accusers, you're going to have a very solid case against you, and you might not even have a deal. And once the judgment's there, it's always going to be worse. So anyways, what's going off on a tangent, allegedly. So anyways, he allows his children to make their own choices. No one knows when judgment comes. The time to repent is always now. Once a judgment is declared, it's too late. The good mother who was willing to let her son live, but lose her son, right? Right here, Matthew 16:28, it says, now this is the New Testament, even though the story is the Old Testament, how it's connected. It said, whoever will lose his life for my sake shall find it. Meaning, if you're living a good life in kindness and serving others, along the way, if your life is taken, or in a way, in the allegory of, you will find yourself by letting go. If all you're worried about is greed, always worried about is possessions, all you're worried about is you, you're already living in a life of hell, because it's never going to be enough. Whereas if you're living life and helping mankind, meaning losing your life and losing letting go of your ego, letting go of your self-centered ideas, self-centered greed, that's how you really will find yourself in helping others. Anyways, the evil mother said, he shall be my child, he shall be my child or yours. He shall not be my child or yours. Because the king said, we'll cut the baby in half. And the evil mother was happy. She's like, yeah, whatever, the evil mother didn't even care about the baby being cut in half. She's like, yeah, it won't be my kid or your kid. Like, she's basically saying, we're all going to go down. And the evil woman, the evil mother, rejoiced in the other mother's suffering. And our Father suffered for us, just as his son, hold on. It just says he sent his son to show us how to live, repent, and love one another. So the king saw this, and he made a judgment to remove the baby in half and give half and half. One good kingdom, one bad kingdom. And that wasn't going to happen. There would be a kingdom divided. So the good submitted to the bad and said, you know what, you can have it. You can have it all. And then the true king saw right through the lies. Because eventually the truth will set you free. And so he said, give the baby to the real mother. And the other woman, he said, let judgment be quick. And so that mother was handled properly. Now let's go back to the field and the crop. It says here that I wrote, he didn't want the good crop to suffer. We're talking about the good farmer now. Just like the good mother. The good mother was willing to suffer for bad. The good mother was willing to suffer for the child. And the good farmer was willing to suffer for his good crop. You understand, he wasn't talking about wheat. You understand, he wasn't talking about apples or bananas here. You have eyes to see, ears to hear. He was talking about us. Us, and there's good and bad people in this world. And who is good, who is bad? Well, Christ talks about whoever's doing the will of my Father is my brother, is my sister, is my mother. If you're loving one another, you're a child of God. If you're hating one another, robbing one another, raping one another, stealing from one another, committing murder to one another, you're the child of Satan. It's that simple. It doesn't matter, Italian, German, American, Canadian, French. That doesn't make you good or bad. Some have better food than others. What makes you good or bad is your actions. And that's how you know a tree by its fruit. That's how you know a person is. It's not like all Italians are good or all Italians are bad or all this and that. That's not how it works. How do you know? You know by their actions. So he did not want the good crop to suffer. So he suffered. He allowed the bad, the evil, to grow as well. But at the time of harvest, once both have had their time to be fully grown, he will send in the reapers, and they will come, and they will bind up and tie up the bad crop, and remove it, and burn them. And balance will be restored in the end. The good crop will be put in the barn. And this is right in that book of the Bible there. Where they say, well, should we pull out the bad with the good? He said, no, we're going to damage the good. He wasn't going to send the good to hell because they're bad people. So he let him ride it out. Also, by letting him ride it out, they talk about this all through the Bible, of sin that leads to death and sin that doesn't lead to death. If you're still here, you haven't led to death. If you're still alive, you have time to repent. And what does that mean to repent? One, to forgive one another. Forgive yourself. And the way you treat others is how he's going to treat you. It's that simple. It's just that simple. You're generous, you're kind to others, God's going to be kind and generous to you. You're out there killing people for no reason. I'm not talking about self-defense. You're out there just committing homicide, you're a raging serial killer. Okay. God's got a place for you. So you understand what I'm talking about here. At the time of harvest, they're supposed to be separated. What is the time of harvest is? Whenever God says your time is up. Everyone alive right now on the earth is under God's grace. He could strike me down right now, but I'm under his grace. I'm not perfect. Along the way, I've done a lot of charity and things to help people for no reason that cost me money, time, and hardship. But anyways, though, as we forgive others, he forgives us. The more we demand for our debts to be paid by others, the more he'll demand for us. So anyways, going back to the story, he will send in the reapers, and then he'll bind up the bad crop and burn them. And balance will be restored in the end. And the bad crop will be put in the barn. The father who was betrayed suffered and has the patience and properly punishes in the proper time. He sees all. He will not destroy the good crop with the bad crop. And if any bad crop is destroyed with the good crop, the punishment will be swift in the end. So if you're out there just hurting innocent people for no reason, you don't think God hears the cries of your victims? If you're living a real debaucherous life, you really need to thank God for the grace he gave you, because you're running out of time. If you're out there doing drugs and living a crazy alcoholic life, because when you're being a crazy alcoholic, you're being selfish. You're drinking, driving, you're degenerate, you're going out there acting crazy. You don't care about yourself. Look, you got two people here right now not forgiving themselves. Well, there you go. Could have just forgave one another. Instead, they're just honking their horn, demanding judgment. Anyways, ending with this. Now we're going to combine the stories. We talked about the two, enough already. We talked about the two mothers and the two fathers, the truth and the lie, the good and the evil, the light and the darkness. Both the evil in both stories used the night to their advantage. They used the darkness to steal what wasn't theirs. The mother stole the child in the dark. The allegory to the crop or the wheat is a field. which is a woman, because that's where the crop grows, because the man is planting the seed, i.e. a father is doing what he does to become a father. Somewhere along the line, they're talking about, because we understand Genesis 6, the fallen angels took women, and they mated with the women, and they had children. Those children were giants. And this is what set the whole world, of course, because these fallen angels and their Nephilim children, they taught us things that we were not supposed to know. We were here just to create, have children, be one with the universe, and God walked this earth. And we had a beautiful, experience. Well, war, famine, pestilence, magic, even makeup. The fallen angels taught the women that. It's all in there in the book of Enoch, and even in the Old Testament. So anyways, though, because it's deception. I hate to say it, ladies. If you're painting your face like a clown every morning, you're lying. You're deceptive. What's the difference from a man lying about his credit score if you're going to paint your face like a clown? It's okay. It is what it is. Anyways, the two mothers and the two fathers, the truth and the lie, the good and the evil. Both these stories have the same thing. They're covering it from the Old and New Testament and covered from a woman's perspective and a father's perspective. The light and the darkness. Both the evil was used the darkness to their advantage to steal. One was stealing a physical child. The other one was putting stuff into the dirt and grew up bad seed. But if you can't see what that means, if you're at work and someone's coming to your house and someone's planting in your vineyard, and then they're like, why is this kid so bad? This is not my crop. Yeah, your wife was messing around. I don't know. That's exactly what they're talking about. So anyways, that's why it talks about in the Ten Commandments not to covet another man's wife. Because if you start playing with another man's wife, some other father, if he doesn't catch you, he's going to be raising your child. Okay? There's a problem with that. So the allegory of the crop and wheat, we're talking about a man lying in your field. This is for those who have eyes to see. The evil mother wants to steal and raise a child that wasn't hers and trade a dead child for the living. There's an allegory right there. She's trading living for the dead for the living. She's trading darkness for light, which is the opposite. If you're in the darkness, somebody says, "I turn the light on." No, you understand that? And the evil father planted in another man's field and left. He came and gone. Right there, the evil father planted another man's field and left. And thus also letting another man, a good man, raise his crop. It's almost like the men that told the man, hey, there's some bad crop with the good crop. What should we do? That's a DNA test. Hey, man, some of your kids are not like the other kids. Hey, man, some of your kids are kind of bad. Kind of bad. Well, it says another man. The mother was going to physically steal the child and raise it, where the bad father was going to give you a child that wasn't yours and let you raise it. Both are diabolical. I don't know which is worse, which is better, but both are lies and both are deception. Well, there you go with that. To let another man raise his crop and deceive an honest man. Both the evil mother and the evil father will give you children that aren't yours. The evil mother gave you a dead child, and the evil father will give you a child that's not yours, meaning your bloodline's dead. Right? Because that child, maybe he'll have your name, but he doesn't have your bloodline. It's not yours. Your bloodline's dead. It's not your child. Matthew 12:48 through 50. Who is my mother? Who is my brother? Who is my sister? Whoever does my Father's will is my brother, is my sister, is my father. Christ commands us to love one another. If you're loving one another, you wouldn't steal someone else's baby and give them your dead baby. If you're loving one another, you wouldn't be banging another man's wife and let him raise your bastard. That's what they're saying at the end of the day. So Christ commands us to love one another. And all of the laws fulfill when we are kind and generous to one another. Because if you're loving is not just a word. Loving could be food. Loving could be money. Loving could be time. Loving could just be effort. Loving could just be Forgiveness, meaning somebody was wrong to you. So maybe loving them is just not smacking them across the head or honking your horn 100 times. Happened to me today. Somebody cut me off, and I got real mad for a second, and then I immediately said, as you forgive others, I will forgive you. So I thought about myself. I said, I'm going to forgive you. Because now, if they go that way, next time I do something, maybe I piss someone. Yeah, he's right. He forgave that lady. So just preemptively, listen, prove me wrong. Preemptively let things go. Preemptively forgive people that have wronged you. See if you have a better life. Well, I'm going to tell you as a guy in the past that maybe been around certain people, maybe done this or that. I don't know. I'm not going to say anything. It is what it is, allegedly. But nobody's gone to prison or caught a case for forgiveness. Would you do a drive-by forgiveness? What'd you do? Get a bat and forgive someone? What'd you do? Did you get a double-barrel shotgun and go forgive someone? Yeah, there's that guy right there. Hey. I forgive you. You just drive off. Holy cow. Call the police. What happened? Yeah, this guy pulled up with a ski mask. Told me he forgave me. And? What did he do? Well, no, that was it. He forgave me and left. The detective's writing it down. He's like, he forgave you? He left? Okay. What are we going to do about that? Forgiving people is never a crime. You can't go to prison for forgiveness. So by forgiving someone when they wrong you, you think it's about them, letting them get away with it? It's letting you get away with it by staying in this life. There's no cigars in prison, and there's no women in prison that you want. You want to not forgive that guy and teach him a lesson or whatever you're going to do. And let's say you do 2 years, 5 years in county. You want upstate, you want to do that? You want to do that? So Christ commands us to love one another. When we're loving one another, we're operating under God's grace, under His protection. When we're committing evil to one another, we're out of His love. And then the judgment comes much quicker. All the law is fulfilled when we are kind and generous to one another. So in reflection, in reflective saying those who forgive one another, those who love one another, are my brother, or my sister, or my mother. But so the reflection of that is, who is not the brother of God? Who's not the sister of God? Who's not the mother? The reflection is those who do not do the Father's will, those who hate one another, those who kill one another, those that teach us to hate one another, those that teach us to kill one another. Those are not the family of the Father. So if you're a woman, you're not the sister of Christ. You're not the sister of God. If you're out there, having an abortion every Tuesday, you're murdering children. You should stop this and repent. You should repent a lot, because that's child sacrifice to Moloch. I can't stress that enough. Now, granted, you're in a society, maybe you didn't realize when you were sacrificing your offspring to Moloch. They changed the name and they gave it a nice, it's abortion. It's health care. It's funny how that only works for women. If a guy does a drive-by, that's not health care. It was a drive-by, double homicide. If a woman aborts her twins, it's health care. What's worse? I can kind of respect the guy that maybe, didn't want to pay his gambling debts and did what he had to do. And he's going to go willing to do 10 to 20 years. But killing your twin babies in an abortion clinic and then going out to Applebee's afterwards doesn't sound like justice, does it? Anyways, so reflection. Who is not doing the Father's will? Whoever hates and kills one another is not of the Father. Lies is the opposite of love. Be the good mother. Be the good father. Plant good seed. Judgment comes for both. Punishment comes for the bad, and reward comes for the good. Judgment is your paycheck. Your dues will be, you're going to get your dues. So if you're not, I need some water after I was talking. If you're living a debaucherous life, maybe you should stop, reflect, and how much time do you have left? Do you think what you're doing is right? Well, you need to think about that. If you don't have any peace in your life, it's probably because you're not creating any peace. Start with forgiveness of yourself. A lot of rage people have is coming from within. Whatever happened to you in the past or whatever happened right now. Maybe some people wronged you. But when people wrong you, in both situations, the good farmer and the good mother were wrong. But they didn't continue that curse. Yes, somebody screwed them over. But they didn't continue it. They let it stop. They didn't play the game. That mother could have said, oh, my baby was stolen, and this woman gave me a dead baby. You know what I'm going to do tonight? I'm going to go swap out that dead baby, and I'll steal someone else's woman. Hot potato. She could have passed on the evil to the next person. That bad farmer could have said, man, somebody put bad stuff in my field. You know what? Somebody was with my wife. My wife's having someone else. You know, I'm going to do the same thing tonight. You know what? Happened to me, and we're going to do it to someone else. Both the good father and the good mother, they waited for the proper time. Judgment's coming either way. Vengeance is the Lord's. If you don't think vengeance is the Lord's, why do you think all these young people in these street gangs, for example, do they have retirement packages? If you're out there selling drugs, pimping hoes, shooting kids at a McDonald's drive-thru, do those people end up in nursing homes? Oh, they're all dead by 25. Blasted. Because the Reaper's coming. If you're out there killing innocent people, out there just blasting people, as you're firing, you don't care who it hits. You're not even organized. You're just out there, who cares? If you're that destructive, you're giving no grace. And you know who's better at giving no grace? But when God says your time is up, the Reaper's coming. Understand that. That everything's under God's control. Everything. The difference is He gives us a chance to be good or bad. He also gives us a chance, if we're bad, to come back. But you don't know how much time. So when He closes this book, you don't know how much time. You don't know how much time. So, you don't know. Yeah. So anyways, that's the conclusion. And also, if you think that, well, I'm this or that, I'm not perfect, so how could I even talk to God? That's false. Those two women, I'll end it with this. They weren't saints. I left out part of information that's right in the beginning of that chapter. Both those women, you know what they were? They both were prostitutes. Now, granted, for their time frame, unless you were married, and you came from a family that you were married off, arranged marriages back then. Oh, I mean, what's the difference now? You have plenty of girls on OnlyFans and Craigslist. Plenty of people doing that job now. The point is, though, one was good and one was bad. Because being a mother is never a bad thing unless you make it to be a bad thing. So even the prostitute that was a good mother still got justice in the eyes of God. She wasn't born to be a prostitute. The world is run by degenerate people, and the whole system is wrong. The point is, though, being a mother and being a father is a sacred thing. You should never mess with that. Never mess with another man's field. Never mess with another man's children. And never mess with a woman's child. So anyways, we're done with that. I hope you understood the allegory. That both in the book of Kings and the book of Matthew, we have these great stories that are literally identical in the allegory, identical in the message. And one's physical, one's spiritual. Because the book of Kings, if you understand history, this story, as King Solomon was a real king, happened. And whereas Christ with his parable, and Christ really happened. The Romans really crucified him. It's in the history books. It's in records. So anyways, what were we talking about? His was a parable, though. Something that you have to have eyes. You have to use your mind. You have to see it in the spirit, his story. But when you see his story about the field, it's exactly what happened with the mother. So, you have the good mother and the good father. You have the bad father and you have the bad mother. I can't stress it enough. I hope you learned something today. And if you didn't, hey, that's on you. I'm going to go smoke a cigar. You stay fresh. No cigars in prison. I'm going to go commit some forgiveness and stay out of trouble. It is what it is. And I can't stress it enough. I'll see you around.